If I wanted to get that information out to the general public, what that study actually said, a study that was conducted by the United States government, I could potentially go to jail. Does that make any sense? It's the biggest fraud that's ever been perpetrated on the United States. That's a proven fact. That actually happened. And that makes me sick, and it also makes me angry. You ask me why I'm doing this? That's why I'm doing this. Right now, the most successful people in the world are prepared for anything that comes their way. I taught myself to ask more questions and how to get more out of life. If you want more, it really can happen, and it's simple strategies and techniques. These aren't pie-in-the-sky things. I'm not one of these guys telling you about how to be successful and never done it. I do it every single day.
This is the Alden Report.
I'm a little early. It's at 12:15, but heard from someone recently. They like to start things 5 minutes early and end 5 minutes early. I'm not sure why. I didn't really listen to the whole thing about exactly why he does that, but it's not a bad thing. So we're starting a little bit early. Hope everyone had a wonderful week. I had a fantastic week. A lot of great things going on at my company, Blue Vase, and some of the brands that we've launched. And we're again really excited about it. More specifically, the Emery vodka. Just recently got a great review about the product itself. So if you see it in the stores and you like vodka, check it out. Again, it's Emery vodka. You can go to emeryvodka.com. And this is what we do here. This is what I do. We build stuff. We build brands. I'm actually doing it. Where a lot of these guys that are out there preaching and trying to teach you how to be successful, they're not doing anything. They don't do anything. I'm not only doing it right now, but I've done it before, and I'm going to continue to do it, and I'm showing other people how to do it. It just recently, I just kind of lost my shit a little bit when looking at all these guys that are out there that proclaim to be, these gurus on how to be successful, but they've never been successful at anything in their lives other than potentially successfully enrolling people in their trainings and teaching their students on how to be successful, but they haven't done anything. It's insane to me. It's like, when I went to law school, we had law professors who never actually practiced law. Fortunately, at my school, that wasn't the case. All the professors that taught me at the classes that I took actually were out there and doing stuff. To learn from people about how to build a business or how to improve your life or how to get better, I think you need to do it, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree with me, Periscope? I think you actually, if you're going to learn something from someone, you want to learn from people that are actually doing it. And not only am I doing it, but my company's doing it, and the people that work for me are doing it, and we're doing it every single day. So I'm really excited to be able to show people that stuff. And then, by the way, a lot of it is the mistakes that we've made. We make a lot of mistakes, and I'm not afraid to talk about that. Last week we talked about failure, right? We talked about, it was on Monday, I believe. So many people are afraid to fail. A lot of people are afraid of success as well. But you never know if you don't try, okay? So today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about? There we go. You'll hear my Massachusetts accent come out here and there. So not that bad. Not like I'm from South Boston, but it does come out here and there. I'm going to talk about something that, kind of annoys me, really, for lack of a better term. And that is, people need to do what they say they're going to do. I'm just talking to one of my producers, and he says, we're going to talk about follow up and follow through, right? Follow up and follow through. Man, I have bad handwriting. But we're not really going to talk about really the exact thing that he said, but we're going to talk about when you say that you're going to do something to someone else, but also to yourself. That's the other thing. When you tell yourself that you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're setting yourself back. And by the way, the easiest person to lie to is who? Anyone on Periscope? No? The easiest person to lie to is yourself. And people do it every single day. So if you tell yourself that you're going to do something and you don't do it, it's an absolute travesty. It's a travesty, again, for you individually, but for the people around you, the people you work with, your family, okay? So successful people, what do? They do what they say they're going to do. You know, I have so many examples of this here at my company. And it is one of my biggest pet peeves when someone says to me, Mike, I'm going to get this done for you, and you're going to have it on Monday, and you're going to have it at Monday at 9 a.m. Well, if you tell me that you're going to have something done for me Monday at 9 a.m., when should I expect it? I should expect it at 9 a.m., right? I mean, there's no other way. There's no other way to talk about that. And the challenge is, in corporate America, in people's personal lives, they fall short, right? They overpromise and underperform. So what I like to say to people is, if you're going to tell me that you're going to do something for me, or you're going to provide a service, or you're going to be somewhere, or again, you're going to produce something for me at a particular time, well, make sure the time that you give me is accurate. Well, make sure what you say you're going to give me is accurate as well. You know, people talk about a valuable final product, VFP, right? So if you tell me, hey, Mike, like I have an editor for my second book, and he says, Mike, I'm going to get you your book cover. This is Ask More, Get More. I'm going to get this to you tomorrow, even though tomorrow is Saturday. I'm going to get it to you 10 o'clock tomorrow. Well, what am I expecting? I'm expecting that I'm going to get it at 10 o'clock tomorrow, right? But I'm also expecting that it's going to be what he said it's going to be. Okay, so there's kind of two components to that. It's doing it when you say you're going to do it and actually producing it. Okay? And so many people fall short of that. Well, how do you avoid that? You know, what can you do to avoid it? You know, what are some tips? The best part about the stuff that I talk about is it's so simple. It's so basic. But most of us don't do it. And by the way, folks, a lot of these things I have to remind myself of because sometimes I forget, okay? But when you overpromise and underperform, and that's really kind of what we're talking about, you say you're going to do something and you fall short or you don't do it at all, it ruins your credibility, okay? And it's very, very difficult for you to overcome that giant mistake. So what do? Well, let's say, I'll give you an example, really simple stuff. Let's say you say to someone, you're at your job, and your boss says to you, well, Mike, I'd like this report. I'd like it to be 12 pages long. I'd like it to have a pretty detailed analysis of our profit and loss. And I'd like to have it, for you, Mike, to give it to me at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Monday morning. And you get this at 5 o'clock Friday afternoon. Well, let's say you can't do that for whatever reason. Let's say you know right then and there that you're going to be away. Your boss says to you, I need it at 9 a.m. Monday morning. But you know that it's not possible for you to get that done. Well, what do? Well, you could just yes your boss to death and act like a go-getter and say, yeah, no, I'm gonna get that for you. And absolutely, Mike, or actually, Mr. Whoever, your boss, whatever your boss's name is, I'm gonna get that for you, no problem, 9 a.m. Monday morning. But you know that you can't. You know you can't, but you just told your boss that you can't. So now you put yourself in a real predicament. So for whatever reason, it's a weekend where you have a family engagement or whatever it is. So now you're in a real predicament. How to avoid that? Well, your boss comes to you and says, Mike, I'd like for this report to be 12 pages long. I'd like it to have a detailed analysis of our profit and loss statements, and I need it Monday morning at 9 a.m. But you know you can't do it. And you're the accountant. You're the only person that can do it. Most bosses that know how to run a business are able to work around other people's schedules. They're able to overcome challenges, and they can handle it. So now you say to your boss, well, look, I don't know if you remember, sir, but I have to be out of town this weekend with my family. It's it's important to me. My family's important to me, which it should be. And I'm not really going to be able to dedicate a lot of time over the weekend. But however, I know this is important, and I know we need it, and I know that you need this in order to move forward with a business transaction. So what I can do for you is I can get it to you noontime on Monday. Would that work for you? Right? Would that work for you? Now, forget about all the other whacked out things that could potentially happen in this scenario. I know some of you are thinking, well, my boss is crazy. He's going to, tell me I'm fired or whatever it is. But really what I'm trying to say to you is that you can, again, and I talk about this a lot, is you can prevent a withdrawal in what I like to call the emotional bank account. Talk about that in my book, The Emotional Bank Account. You can prevent that by just giving your boss a realistic expectation. And not only that, it's going to be what he really wants. Because what you could also do, and which, by the way, people do all the time, is even though they know they can't do it for whatever reason, they still then get it to their boss at 9 o'clock, and it's not what he wants. And they know it's not what he wants. But they're maybe kind of hoping that he won't notice. And that might happen. But it won't happen all the time, okay? So if you say you're going to do something, you need to actually do it. And again, there are instances, for whatever reason, there's all sorts of reasons why you can't possibly, achieve a goal at a certain time, but you can achieve it maybe a little bit later. That's okay. You need to, essentially lower people's expectations or give them a realistic expectation of when it can be done. Because people like me that build businesses from zero to, hundreds of millions of dollars, we're able to work through that. We get it, okay? It's not always going to work properly. Things are going to get screwed up here and there. We understand that. But what makes people successful and unsuccessful, okay? What makes people unsuccessful is overpromising and underperforming. You don't do what you say you're going to do. Let's talk about this in your personal life. I'm a dad of a 9-year-old little girl. And I thought about this on the way here. But I don't believe there's ever been a time when I have said I was going to do something for my daughter and not done it. That's got to be the first thing, the first priority in life. We talk about family. We talked about the evolution of what a family looks like in some other broadcasts. But at the end of the day, right, everyone knows this. Family comes first, right? That's what people always say, okay? And there's always some caveats to that. But, look, if you make a commitment to a family member that you're going to do something, especially if it's your daughter or your son, and you don't do it, just imagine what happens to them. Okay? Imagine what happens. I heard a story once about a little girl who used to wait for her dad on the weekends and stand there in her driveway for hours because he said he was going to be there. And he never showed up. Never showed up. And to this day, they don't have a relationship. She doesn't have a relationship with her father, and that makes me very sad. Okay? So in your personal life, I think one of the biggest things that you can do to hurt your relationship on a personal level is to tell someone you're going to do something and then you don't do it. And then you look at, again, by the way, I am not a relationship expert as it comes to spouses and things like that. And, I'm divorced, but I've seen a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of people fail and screw up. And I try not to repeat some of the things that some of those people have done. Again, I'm not perfect. But when you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. So what else can you do to make sure that you're not overpromising and underperforming? Well, you don't commit yourself to things that you can't do. You don't commit yourself to things that you can't do. So if you tell your daughter you're going to be at her soccer game, you need to be there. Okay? You need to be there. And look, like I said, there are instances where things just happen, okay? Things just happen. I get that. I understand, okay? But especially when it comes to your personal life with your family members, especially if you're the mom or the dad that's listening right now, okay, or watching this on YouTube, if you tell your children that you're going to do something, you need to do it. And I'm not talking about telling your kid you're going to buy them a toy or, you're going to, buy them some clothing or something. I'm talking about the real important stuff. I'm talking about when you tell your kid that you're going to maybe, read them a story tonight, or you're going to help them with their homework, or you're going to be at their soccer game. I'm talking about the real stuff that builds character, the stuff that human beings really thrive, which is our emotions and the things that we really yearn for, which is emotional responses from each other, right? I'm not talking about telling your kid you're going to buy them again some toy and then you're unable to do that. But as a young child, they don't know what your financial situation is. So if you tell them you're going to do something, you got to make sure you're going to do it, because it really, really hurts personal relationships. And then you can take that same story, okay, and you just take it to the next level. Meaning, the husband and wife, okay. You say you're going to do something and you don't do it, and it comes down to like the most basic ridiculous things. Like you say you're going to take the trash out and you don't take the trash out. I mean, it drives people crazy, right? Or you say you're going to do the dishes, you don't do whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying completely avoid commitment, right? Completely avoid doing things, because that's also ridiculous. But again, what I've been saying since the beginning is do what you say you're going to do, and then ultimately you will be successful in whatever that is. Okay? So if there are constraints, if there are challenges with a commitment that you have made, well, you need to let the person know of that challenge. Now, what else can you do? What if things just totally go wrong? You've committed to something. You tell someone, this is what I'm going to do. And it doesn't work out for whatever reason. You've tried your best, Well, look, it's happened to me, and I'll give you some business examples. I have business partners that loan us millions of dollars. And, they provide us with goods and services. And one of the things that they look for from us as a company, right, is that we pay them on time and we pay them what we owe them. Makes sense, right? That's how the world goes around. Sometimes, and this has happened, to us throughout the years. You know, we're still, I mean, we've been in business 7 years. We've done a lot of great things. Inc. 5000 for the past 3 years in a row, which is really unheard of in the business world to actually have that kind of growth for 3 years in a row. But with that comes challenges, okay? And when we tell our business partners that we're going to make a financial commitment where we're going to pay them something and we don't do it, well, that hurts the relationship. It hurts it. There was a major withdrawal from their emotional bank account, right? And relationships, folks, and we'll talk a lot about relationships and how ultimately in business and in life, that's what makes everything really work is relationships. You know, a good friend of mine, Larry Benet, he calls it connection capital, right? Connection capital, your relationships and the capital in those relationships and how you build those relationships. And one of the ways you can hurt those relationships is not doing what you say you're going to do. And again, we've done it. I've done it, okay? And there's been instances where you made a mistake. So what do you do in that instance? What do you do when you make a mistake? You have the best intentions. You forecasted things out. You prepared, and everything just went haywire. Things just didn't work out the way you wanted them to. So what do? Well, you need to acknowledge it, and you need to let the other side know. Avoiding it is the absolute worst thing you can do. And folks, I've done it. I've avoided it. I've owed people millions of dollars. And having to pick up the phone and tell them that I can't pay them $2,000 and I owe them $1 million is not a fun phone call to have. It's not a fun phone call to have. But that connection capital, that relationship that we've built, that we've fostered, that has taken really years to develop, can essentially eviscerate very quickly. I think by the pure definition of the word eviscerate, it will happen almost immediately. If you don't acknowledge that their expectations are not going to be met. In other words, you cannot do what you said you were going to do. Okay, so again, I'm a realist, right? I know that everything I say and the things that we talk about, there's always going to be a caveat. There's always going to be something that is going to come up. Okay, that's business. That's life. You know, it's not always perfect. In fact, it's never perfect. But you need to acknowledge it. If you don't acknowledge it, and again, I talk a little bit more about, I'm a marketer, folks. A lot of people don't like that. Yes, I talk about this in my book, Mental Monster. One of my producers is probably laughing right now because he loves that term, mental monster. If you don't address it, if you put your head in the sand, if you don't address the fact that you're not able to meet the expectations, you're not able to do what you said you're going to do, and you completely just avoid it, again, it can absolutely destroy your credibility, and it can destroy, again, what my good friend Larry Benet calls your connection capital, your relationship capital can be destroyed. And one of the things that has ultimately really made Blue Vase successful, and it's made me successful, is my relationship capital and my connection capital. Because I started Blue Vase with nothing. Really with nothing. You know, maybe, I don't know, $25,000, $30,000 in credit cards. And the only other thing that I really had was my relationships. You know, people always talk about, your word is your bond. Most of that doesn't mean shit, right? Or you sign a contract. People always sign contracts. I say contracts are great and they're very important in business, but as soon as you have to look at the contract and the terms of the contract, well, now you're in trouble, okay? If you start having to look at the terms of the contract, there's usually something really, really wrong. But again, when you look at it and you say, I said I was going to do something and I was unable to do it. what do you do? Well, you need to address it, okay? And sometimes things aren't going to work out the way you want them to. But if you don't address it, your relationship capital can be destroyed. Your business can ultimately be destroyed. You know, most business people, even the smaller ones that we deal with, I mean, I have some very, very small vendors that, they are essentially almost paycheck to paycheck, okay? But we do a lot of business with them. And if we can't pay them, it hurts. It hurts them. It hurts their it hurts their business. It hurts their personal life. It hurts their personal bank account. And in the past, it doesn't really happen that much in the future. It doesn't really happen that much right now. But in the past, it really sucked because I've been there before. I know what it's like to not have somebody pay you or have somebody not do what they say they're going to do. But most business people can accept it. Because if they don't know what the deal is, then they can't make a decision. Because if you give someone the information, hey, look, I can't pay you today, right? Well, that business person or that other person on the other side is then going to have to sit there and think, well, how do I fix this? How do I solve the problem that I have? Maybe I can go out and talk to somebody else. Maybe I can get a quick short-term loan, whatever it is. You see, you give them the ability to solve the problem, right? But if you buried your head in the sand and you don't say anything, well, that business person, or whether it's, again, or in a personal relationship, they're not able to make decisions. They're not able to move forward. They're not able to think things through. This is what we do as humans, right? We try and figure things out. That's how things work. We figure things out. But you can't figure things out without the information. So if you can't do what you say you're going to do, and you have the best intentions, okay? Well, then you need to let the other person know, okay? And then I guess maybe the last thing I want to mention about this is that, again, don't tell somebody that you can do something and knowing full well that you can't. That is fatal. Because at some point it will catch up to you and people will realize that you're just BSing them. It's just not, it's just, they understand that, you know what, you're just going to tell people what they want to hear. And for me, as a business owner, that is one of the worst things that can happen to me. When I say to somebody that I need something done and they tell me it's going to be done and it doesn't get done, or it doesn't get done and they don't tell me, so then I'm not able to take the information and move forward, it can destroy a business. Because I assumed, you know what they say about assumptions, but I assumed when I say I need something to get done and they say, okay, it's going to get done, and then it doesn't get done, well, I'm already moving forward to the next thing. I'm already making decisions based off of the fact that that person said yes to me. But in all reality, they knew it was a no. You follow me here? Periscope, you guys get it? I don't think there's a lot of people watching right now, but there will be at some point. And I think that's really, really important. So at the end of the day, folks, do what you say you're going to do, and you'll be successful. And also understand the fact that there are going to be times, there are going to be instances where it just doesn't work out, and you need to address it so it doesn't become a mental monster, so it doesn't ruin your relationship capital, and ultimately can just ruin your life. Again, my name is Michael Alden. We're here in the Blue Vase Studios in Beverly, Massachusetts. I hope you enjoyed today. We didn't really go too long, but if you enjoy what you're listening to, if you enjoy what you're watching, maybe on YouTube or on Periscope, in the very near future, we are going to have some live trainings here on the campuses of Blue Vase. Again, they're not really going to be for everybody. They're really going to be for people that do want to take things to the next level, that do understand what I just talked about, and maybe they're ready to make a commitment to no longer under promise, right? Maybe you're willing to really take things to the next level and acknowledge that, you know what, sometimes you do need a kick in the ass, and you do need someone like me to really kind of show you, how to take things to the next level. So again, we're going to be announcing that in the very near future. That's going to be right here in Beverly, Massachusetts. But if you're not serious, don't fill out the application, because I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. But if you are serious and you're looking to take things to the next level, the information that we have here and the information that we've gained over the past 7 years and all the people that work for me here, again, I'm surrounded by people that are 100 times smarter than me. The information is just really invaluable. So again, if you're interested, look for it. It'll be on my website, michael-alden.com, or Ask More, Get More. You'll be able to find it out there. I think you could probably just Google it. Maybe it might even be on Blue Vase's website. But the information, will be out there. So again, my name is Michael Alden. We're here in the studios of Blue Vase Marketing, and this has been the Alden Report. Have a terrific day.